YouTube, Aconite here, and I'm recording this upside down because it was the only way I could position the camera correctly. I'm gonna be trimming my hair, and not sure how this is gonna go because usually, well, that's not entirely true either. I mean, I've been doing it this way, maintaining my hair this way since I was 19, so. Yeah, it's about 4 years now, give or take. Basically my whole adult life. So, this may or may not go according to plan. I'm looking at the mirror right now. But, I have a technique. What I do is I I don't go full Wednesday Addams per se, but I do this thing where I'll part it, directly in the middle. And you don't necessarily have to do it exactly this way, especially if your hair is naturally so much straighter. I saw somebody do this with straight hair at some point, and it was all mismatched and uneven. But mine is naturally all this big and, fucked up. I hate it. Okay? Trouble is, there's only really two solutions that, especially, if you're asking for... I say that not to do this if you're a guy who has long hair, but don't go to women for advice on how to do this. It may seem like a good idea on paper just because they have, experience, with longer hair, because how could they not? A lot of them do. 9 times out of 10. But usually, based on my experience, especially, the two solutions I get, especially from my mother of all people, is either to tie it back, which I usually do anyway, or to just shave it all off. You would not give a woman that advice. Why should my having a dick and balls hanging off my groin give you that sort of an excuse for misandry? Screw that. So yeah, mini rant out of the way here. We're gonna take, because I'm left-handed, we're gonna take the right section first. And I usually wrap this 4 or 5 times into the tie and just cut above the band. But it's going to take some finagling because I haven't done this in several months, and regardless, it's going to be an ordeal because I always try to, make sure that it's absolutely even and symmetrical and such. Because unless you're going for the asymmetrical look or whatever, which I don't think is even a thing, and even if it was, why? So, yeah, unless that's what you're shooting for, I personally prefer much more, this looks about right. Oh, it kind of looks like a hood right now. Yeah, it's a little shorter than what I usually go for. Maybe a tad further down. Alright, so I think I've got them where I want them, but even then, this may or may not be a tad much. I will say it's definitely easier to brush when it's, shoulder length enough. And generally, I find that this is the best length, anything like this, to maintain that androgynous enough aesthetic, regardless of your hair type, because whether you're Serene from Underworld or you're Eric Draven from The Crow, you're gonna look like a cinematic badass no matter what, once it's this length. And mine's already naturally dark as well, so that's a bonus. But yeah, we're gonna cut to the chase here, and I always cut above the ties just to, maintain as little a mess as possible. Or to cause as little a mess as possible, rather. I don't think I tied this tie enough, though. Barely even on camera. It's because I'm so fucking short. 5'7", boy. I'm as tall as Tom Cruise with his boots on. Alright, so that's 2 inches off one side. We'll go for the other here. Is there a way I can... I wonder. Okay, that's a little better. I still have to stand like I'm a child, though. Alright. I feel like I'm cutting the rope from The Princess Bride. Dread Pirate Roberts on the other end. Inconceivable. Okay. It's not terrible. Oh, that looks like sand. Yeah, the first time I ever filmed a video of this particular nature was intended to be a sort of one-shot type thing. I can tell I'm going to have to edit this, especially the after shots for the most part, but yeah, this is the first draft of this was mainly supposed to be like a one-shot thing, just to show how serious I was, sort of like the way I filmed my werewolf makeup video, but unfortunately I had is it called bronchitis at the time. I just wouldn't stop coughing, and yeah, unfortunately it just got to the point where I couldn't help myself, and I figured, you know what, fuck it, and I started juggling the chunks of hair. You can go check that out if you want nightmares, but yeah, all in all, really the only other thing I have left to do is check to see if there's any loose ends that I missed, like here, which it's easy enough to rectify. There's a few here too. Not a problem. And it's important to kind of have, I should have told you first, but it's important to kind of have the hair positioned so that the ties are mostly in favor of what's in the back, because you parted it all the way down the middle, as well as the front. You want to be cutting it all the way around as best you can, otherwise it's not going to look right. But all in all, I'm doing this over a sink, by the way. Don't get the bright idea to do this just anywhere. You're gonna get hair splinters everywhere, and those fucking suck, man. Especially if you're a guy who, you know, trims his own hair, but it's, you know, still relatively, you know, short or whatever the hell. That's another reason I grew my hair out, was because I hated having to maintain it all the time. But the thing about cutting short hair, or just any relatively short hair, is the hair splinters are everywhere, man. There's no two ways around it. But yeah, this didn't turn out too terrible. I like it. Get all the front like this, and oh, I think I missed a spot here. I'm not wearing my glasses right now. Close enough. But yeah, yeah, I think that works. Yeah, this is definitely an ideal length for me. And the beauty part is, if I can get one of these ties off right quick, the good news is, whoa, it's still at a length that's relatively long enough to tie back in either just a standard ponytail, or you can be like Fenrir Greyback from Harry Potter and do like a man bun thing. It especially works if you have a chin strap and a butt ugly smile like me. So Yeah, no, it's not terrible. All right. Well, we'll just have to see how this looks after it's been washed. But in the meantime, this is how it looks. It's probably gonna spring back up again because that's just the nature of my hair. It's naturally quite huge, which can be traditionally, 80s esque goth if you want, but even then, they deliberately make their hair, teased out on end um, to do that. So it's not quite the same, to put it lightly. But either way, I can't say I'm hating this because it's not too much, it's not too little, and I know for a rock solid fact that it's going to be far easier to brush, far less. And I didn't even cut that much off, and already, you get a workout with your arms. Even using as obscenely huge a brush as I do, which that's another thing. You should probably brush it after you've trimmed it, but I'm not going to just for the sake of runtime. So maybe I'll include a clip at the end of this where it's washed in a few days' time, just because I'm not going to be washing my hair tonight. But I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes. That's what I'm talking about. Usually, depending on the way that it's trimmed, especially after it's wet, maybe the area in the back will be a little longer, but I think I've been doing this long enough to where I've mastered the technique. If you like, please like. Feel free to share your obscure little thoughts in the comments below, as well as to share the video itself. Subscribe if you wish to see more. Don't forget to hit the bell if you do. And as always, thank you so very much for watching, and I love you.